What's going on, awesome people? Welcome to episode 30 of Countdown to Freedom in Iran. It's a pleasure to have you joining us. My name is Iman Hushmand, and we have a special episode tonight. It is a bittersweet milestone. It's a milestone that we're not trying to necessarily celebrate. Also an opportunity, as I mentioned in a video earlier. I'm just so thankful and grateful for all the co-producers of the show and the contributors of the show, and for all of you who have been tuning in every single episode. We appreciate you all. We're glad that people are appreciating the content that we're creating that relates so much to Iran. And tonight's episode is going to be special. And the reason why it's starting at 6 p.m. Eastern as opposed to 8 p.m. is because our special guest, Atiyeh Navaz, is from the Netherlands, and we didn't want to keep her up much later than we are already doing. So thank you for joining us on a different time. It's still going to be a great program, though. We got news and updates by Paris Mansour, who's going to be coming very soon. We got Dr. Shiva Jahani, who's going to be doing her Mindful Moment segment, and we're going to be talking about grief yoga. And then we're going to have Sareh Kazemi, who's going to be doing our Uniter segment. So a lot of exciting things. And regarding Atiyeh, just a little bit of a general thing about her. She's a mother of two, a business owner, and also an amazing content creator who has been amplifying the voices of Iranians and informing her audience about the revolution. Stay tuned for the end of the program. It's going to be at 6:40 p.m. Eastern when we welcome her. If you've been following her on TikTok, you know that she's gathered a massive community and creating a lot of unique content on TikTok. So we're glad to have her on Instagram today and on Countdown to Freedom in Iran. So let's go ahead and get the news started. It's never happy news, but we're always happy who always joins us for this important segment in the beginning of the program. Well, let's try again. Hold on one second. Oh, there she is. Wait, no. Seems like the internet is playing a little game with us, so stay tuned. In the meantime, hope you're all doing well. If you're joining us for the very first time, let me know where you're joining from, what your name is. Really trying to connect with Paris, but it's not letting us. Got to try some magic fingers here. I see the notification popping up. We might have to start with Sarah in case Paris cannot connect. Okay. Oh, there she is. Okay, cool. Wow. Slow motion. Thank you for your patience, everybody. You know how Canada can be sometimes, you know? I feel like it's like turning. There's like something that's black, but she's not coming on the screen. You are here. I don't see you. Can everybody else see her? Let's try once again. If we're having difficulty again, I'm going to stop the live and I'll restart. So let's try one more time. I can't see you, Parish, on the, no. There you go. All right.
It's just happening.
Yeah, it happens again. Zuckerberg has his magic ways. So here you go. Now we can all see you.
IG is acting like Joe Biden. Not all there.
Wow. Paris starting with the below the belt joke. Very nice. Very nice. Well, nice to see you, Paris. Hope you're doing well overall. It's always tough to ask you that question right beginning of Countdown.
I've been looking to the story of protesters and those who've been arrested and those who've been injured, and they're on the run. Just trying to figure, oftentimes, sadly, there are individuals who share stories that are not quite factual. So there are a lot of individuals who've been injured by, being blinded, at point blank range. And some of them are unable to get any sort of treatment. So they've literally been walking around for months with bullets lodged in their heads. It's terrifying. So no, I'm not doing okay, but there is good news on the part of one detainee whose name we have been mentioning pretty much every week. So stay tuned for that a little bit.
Oh, wow. I like when you have good news for us.
Yes.
But yes, on the bad news part, it's day 313 of the current Woman Life Freedom Revolution. and 56 days away from the 1-year anniversary of it, which was sparked by, of course, Zhina Mahsa Amini's murder. Nilufar Mohammadi is one of the fearless reporters who helped break the story of Zhina Mahsa Amini. She has shown immense courage once again. Can you give us an update on her situation?
Yeah, so she's been detained for over 300 days simply for doing her job. She is a reporter for Shah daily newspaper, and basically she took a picture of Amini's parents at the hospital, and that was really the first sign that, you know, Zhina Mahsa Amini was not doing well. And basically she was arrested because this is a crime under the Islamic regime. So Hamidi
Your audio just got clipped for like 5 seconds.
Am I back?
You're back.
Okay.
It was just 3 seconds. Repeat 3 seconds ago.
So basically, this reporter was arrested for putting up a picture, basically taking a picture and publishing a picture of Zhina Mahsa Amini's parents hugging at the hospital, and this was the first sign that Zhina Mahsa Amini was not doing well, and she passed away a few days later. So she was basically arrested for this. This was a crime. Herself and another reporter were arrested on the same day. They've been held for over 300 days. Their court proceedings started in late spring. They had one appearance, and this week was their second appearance. So on Monday, they're going to get a verdict this week. But what was really insane is that they're facing charges of, if I'm looking to the side, that's where my notes are, their charges are colluding with hostile powers for coverage of Amini's death, and they're accused of being CIA foreign agents. So the death penalty is one of the crimes, that basically one of the sentences that they face for this crime. The trial on Monday lasted less than 2 hours. Their lawyers were not permitted to defend her. I don't know what kind of trial that is. Her family was not allowed in the courtroom. And despite all of this, Imanjun, you know what she said? She had one opportunity to speak. And she said, "I'm proud of my work as a journalist." Despite everything she could face, this is what she said to the judge.
Fearless. Fearless. I'm sure with you being a journalist, it speaks so much to you than us regulars.
I practice saying that without crying. I don't understand.
It's powerful, powerful. Trying to move on here, it's kind of hard to kind of transition out of that, but I appreciate your emotions about this topic. We often speak about Too Much Salehi, an Iranian rapper who's been detained by the regime, but there's also another rapper in the same predicament, Iranian Kurdish rapper, Salman Yassin. Can you give us an update on his situation?
Yeah, so a bit of background for those who are not familiar with him. He's a rapper, singer, songwriter out of Kermanshah. He was arrested 10 months ago for publishing music that criticizes the regime. So he was sentenced to death on October 29, 2022. Among other indictments, he was charged with Moharebe, which is waging war against God, which carries the death penalty. The verdict was actually overturned and suggested for re-examination, but basically he's been in limbo since. So he has no idea what's happening with his case. No one's giving an update, and he's just basically being held. There was an audio file that was released last week that was purported to be from him. In it, he asked for the public support, and he reiterated, quote, "All these actions and lies were told to persecute," and he called the judge of the case unjust and the court handling of his case dishonest. The most recent information is that he's been transferred to a psychiatric facility, and to many that sounds really nice, but a psychiatric facility under the Islamic regime is not so nice. It's a place that they use to basically further psychologically torment detainees and get forced confessions out of them. So not good news.
Was that audio released like secretly, like, or was it like how did he release that from inside the prison? Do you know?
So it happens very frequently that there are messages that come out. So they're in Persian, they're called faile soti. So it's just audio files, and either somebody records them while they're having conversations on the phone, or they're just somehow smuggled out by the individual through a facilitator, and they probably
But you don't think the regime was aware?
No, it happens frequently that individuals who are in jail are able to smuggle audio out. It's just not the first case where it happens. It's not unusual.
Because that's one of the biggest names that I've heard audio bites coming out of in the recent months. I could be wrong, but okay. Well, praying for him, obviously. Now, the man, this is the weirdest story that was coming out, in my opinion. The man in charge of laying the hijab laws down on women has been fired after his sex tape with a young man went viral. I actually had to YouTube some videos when I saw this is going to be topic. Tell us more.
Had you heard about this?
No, but I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, so we're going to get into the story. The guy he was caught on film with, his identity is not unveiled, but his name is Sareh. He's married. He has 3 daughters, and apparently he's a staunch advocate of Islamic law, of hijab laws, very strict on them. He's a former director of Iran's Ministry of Culture and Islamic Guidance in Gilan province. The Islamic regime hasn't commented officially, but the culture minister says he has fired several ministry managers for their failure to adhere to seriously implementing the hijab law. So essentially, the minister is saying, yeah, somebody was fired, but they were fired because they were not implementing hijab laws correctly. But then the deputy speaker said, basically referring to those who published the video, he said that they had committed a larger crime than the individuals who are in the video, and he demanded that those who released the video be basically punished. So the Islamic regime officials also said that the case is sent to the judiciary for further investigation. They also said, and I'm serious, they said that it's not right to make a video public. Quote, such matters could only be made public after the alleged crime is proven and a judge order is acquired. Because this is like so enraging, because when it comes to their own, they're saying, no, there's a correct way to do it. But when it comes to every other Iranian, you are guilty until proven innocent, and then you're still guilty and you're still gonna die.
So you're telling me that the regime is hypocritical?
I don't know. I'm biased.
The U.S. is waiving sanctions, which helps the Islamic regime. I feel like this is a common trend. How are they helping this happen now?
So this is according to Iran International. Last month, the United States issued a sanction waiver, and this is going to allow Baghdad to pay Iran 2.7 billion of the 11 billion that they owe Iran. So why do they owe? Because basically they import electricity and natural gas from Iran, but they haven't paid them because, as we know, Iraq and the US have a relationship. The US has imposed sanctions on Iran, supposedly, but they keep having waivers. If those who follow the story closely behind the scene, we know that these sanctions are waived every 180 days. That's how the Islamic regime gets to continue flourishing. Well, now they're going to flourish even more because these funds are being released. It's being released, by the way, through a third country that's basically facilitating. That third country is Oman. The United States, by the way, says, quote, the money can only be used for non-sanctionable activities such as humanitarian assistance, and that all these transactions need to be approved by the US State's Treasury Department in advance. So basically they're saying this money can be released, but it can only be used for humanitarian goods. But we all know that the Islamic regime doesn't abide by the laws. This is going to basically line the pockets of the IRGC further, and probably we're able to see in a few months is going to be the morality police up in full force, even more than they are now. The IRGC being even more patrolling the streets. Just things are not good, essentially, and the more money that is funneled to the Islamic regime, the worse it's going to be for our people.
Instead of listing the IRGC on the international list of terrorists, Germany is helping out IRGC officials who have proven connections to crimes against humanity. Who are they supporting?
Hossein Ali Nayeri. Does that name ring a bell? It shouldn't, but I'm just asking for fun.
Well, I've done a little bit of research. I know that he was partly responsible for the death of thousands in the 80s, but
Tens
I'll
of
let
thousands.
you who knows. Yeah.
Yes, tens of thousands. He's the former Deputy Chief of Justice for the Islamic regime Supreme Court. He claims that mass executions carried out in 1988 were necessary to eliminate conspirators plotting against the government. He's been named as the head of the so-called Death Committee. He is one of 4 people assigned to the Death Committee directly by Ayatollah Khomeini. So he's like one of 4 who Khomeini thought these guys are going to be great to get people in order and basically make sure that he's silencing any sort of protest. So now that we've gotten to know him better, it's pretty close to, impossible understand why Germany is allowing him in for medical treatment. Germany being part of a G7, G20 nation, part of, you know, a westernized country that believes in democracy and human rights. Usually these countries would arrest terrorists when they arrive, you know, basically find reasons to try them. This is not happening. He's not only been welcomed, he's in Hanover. He is basically getting care at a private neurosurgical clinic. And the most interesting part is that the person treating him, his name is Majid Sami. He's a prominent Iranian German neurosurgeon, and he is very well documented as being somebody who has treated Rafsanjani and Khamenei himself. So we've got a doctor who's very closely related to the Islamic regime at the highest level, who is living freely and happily in Germany, treating other IRGC officials.
If I'm not mistaken, it's like a father and son doctor duo too.
I don't know about his son.
I saw some pictures of both of them, so I feel like they're both kind of in it. Okay, before we get to the update about protesters and detainees, there's an article published by The Guardian that interviewed women in Iran specifically about the revolution. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. So I highly encourage anyone who's interested in this. It's, you know, if you're wondering, Iman, I saw the video that you posted about being 30 weeks in and how discouraging it is, but I read this article. It's an editorial written by a reporter who was so-called in Iran, interviewing people on the street. And some of the interview really caught my eye, and I thought to share it with our viewers. It's a bit lengthy, but I'm going to read a part of it. There's talking to a woman about their fear about the morality police, and basically how they go out and how they are so fearless in the wake of so much terror, about so much danger, and they're still going out without a hijab. And some of them, we've seen the videos, like really up in the faces of Islamic regime officials, morality police, whether there's a woman in a chador or a man with a baton, and basically saying, you know, I'm not backing down. So this is a resident from Tehran saying that morality police have been noting down the car registration number plates, and also asking for identity from women who don't wear hijab. So even if they're not violently beating you, they're going to stop you and they're going to ask you for your identity. She's saying that they've been clicking pictures of her and her friends, but they are still going to continue to step out without a hijab. She says, and I'm quoting, "I got into an argument with one of them recently outside court. The agents harshly ask women to wear a hijab, and when we refuse, they take our pictures and videos and ID cards. Then we are summoned to court. I'm still going out with a hijab despite the announcement, because there are too many of us who have now decided to defy the law and fight. If we fear, they will behave worse and torture more people. As an Iranian woman, I say there's no option but to fight. We are not afraid of the morality police." So for anyone who's wondering how we're doing, and they're wondering why the streets are silent, they're not. Every single day there are Iranian women and Iranian men standing by their side who are fighting this fight. So the revolution continues.
For sure. Now let's go ahead and give some updates about protesters and detainees. The good news in here.
Yes, Mohammad Gobadu, he's a 23-year-old who was arrested. He was charged with corruption on earth back in October after a court found him guilty of attacking police officers and killing one of them after a car ramming incident. Well, now the Supreme Court has quashed his death sentence, which is really wonderful, but his case was deferred to a new jurisdiction to deal with, and basically it's a jurisdiction that deals with mental health. So hopefully they won't send him to a psychiatric facility. Hopefully there will be some kind of relief and he will be released, but at least the death sentence is off the table so far for Mohammad Gobadu.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's good news. We always mention, by the way, Hushida Azari, who's a family member of a friend of ours and a dear member of the United family. He is a Baha'i who was arrested for absolutely no reason other than being Baha'i. He's under house arrest. He's had his passport revoked. He's not allowed to work. He's not allowed to leave his house. Basically, he's just allowed to breathe and live in existence in his building. So if we could, use the hashtag free Hushida, and hopefully just get his sentence fully reduced and he can go free.
And what are the action items this week, the hashtags that we're following and should be using?
Yeah, so free Hushida, definitely. We always talk about IRGC being terrorists, so hashtag IRGC terrorist, hashtag Salman Yassin, hashtag save Sharmad, Jamshid Sharmad is the American-German engineer who was basically abducted and brought to Iran to face a sham trial and convicted of murder. And he stands basically facing the death penalty, and hopefully we can continue sharing his story to save his life. And obviously the mainstays are hashtag Mahsa Amini, hashtag Iran Revolution.
And now one of my favorite parts of your segment, a final message.
Is it? Our language is called Persian. It's not called Farsi. It's only called Farsi when we are speaking Persian. And just like when you are speaking in Persian, هیچ وقت نمیگیم من English حرف میزنم. میگیم من انگلیسی حرف میزنم. So it's the same thing. When you say it in English, it's man. Actually, you don't say man. You say I speak Persian. You don't say I speak Farsi. So hopefully that helps.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, as always, for all that you do to give us this news and this lighthearted ending to the news and update segments.
Thank you for all you do. Happy 30 weeks, Imanjun. You did an amazing video thanking all of us, but you're the passionate, individual who keeps this light burning, in all honesty. And there's a whole lot of crazy in Iman Hushman, and those of us who work closely with you know this, but it's a crazy that makes sense. And without people like you, we wouldn't be keeping this flame going. So thank you for all you do.
Appreciate those words. It was the least that I could do to acknowledge everyone that's been making this all happening. It's been amazing teamwork, and we're going to continue to fight as long as it takes. So thank you so much.
Azadi.
Say hi to the fam. Bye-bye. All right, so up next, we're going to go right into our mindful moment with our lovely, lovely, lovely Dr. Shiva Jahani. She's going to be talking today about grief yoga. I see Sareh logging in. Maybe she got excited to join earlier. We're going to bring Shiva Jahani, who's a professor in the College of Community Innovation and Education at the University of Central Florida. And here she is.
Hi.
Hello, Shiva Jahani. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Oh, you're in the middle of the jungle.
Yes, it's just today I decided to just a little bit turn to this side of my Zen place and my Zen room. Thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate that.
Of course. We're going to be talking about grief yoga today. So it's the first time that I'm hearing about this. How do you cope with grief through yoga and meditation? Let's get right to it.
Yeah. First of all, grief is a very unique and personal journey for each of us. We all are experiencing different things, and there are many different tools and techniques that we can use for coping with our, grief and our, stress and everything. But yoga and meditation, especially mindfulness meditation, are the most powerful tools for coping with our grief. And because of the yoga is not only stretching or for flexibility, it's kind of like symbolizing some of the things like freedom, and seeing our emotions. So those are it's very powerful, special, because yoga, we are using also our breath as part of our stretching. So that is very powerful to also release all of our tensions and stress and seeing our emotions.
And what are the most healing grief poses? I don't know how you can explain it verbally. But
Good question, because for yoga, for example, opening the heart, heart opening poses. So when we are expanding, it's kind of we are experiencing kind of seeing our emotion and also showing ourselves freedom. And we are open to accept the new things, because those are yoga poses help us with acceptance. We are going to accept what is happening to us. We're going to just be open to them, and and bring us to the present moment instead of just thinking all about our past, our emotions, and our feelings. So it's a kind of like a being in moment. And also, opening ourselves to our, what is happening to us, and moving to the acceptance level of what is happening to us. So the all yoga poses with, as I said, combination with breath is helping us to just pay attention to what is happening, to us, and how we can help ourselves to move on and move forward with with all our emotions, our feelings, and deal with them. And the stretching and those, expanding and contracting, the poses like cobra pose, and kind of like a dancer pose. We are opening ourselves and stretching, our chest, our lungs. That shows our brain too, because we are connecting with yoga, mind, body, spirit. It's showing how we can just let everything new come to us, and let past and everything go, and just stay in balance, because that's all about yoga, meditation. And meditation part is part of like a experience of being, and not going with our emotions, stuck in them. So it's a kind of helping us with processing our feelings, our movement. And for other poses that I'm suggesting for grief, like cobra pose, or a dancer pose, and gentle yoga poses, it's all gentle, like a child pose. Those are gentle yoga poses that help us to just also creating a safe space for ourselves and drawing inward. And then we are supporting ourselves, our emotion, without judgment. So, for example, child pose is so easy. We just, bring toes together and forehead to ground. It's kind of like we are hugging ourselves. We are just connecting to our universe. And, the message to our mind is, I'm in safe place, and I can hug myself. I'm seeing my feeling. I'm seeing my emotions in a very safe place and protective way and manner. So there are like a gentle yoga we can just, use for.
And who can benefit from using yoga or meditation for dealing with grief?
I think everyone, everyone is just dealing with, with grief, and kind of, and I think all of us are experiencing different way of the loss, like a job, with, relationship, with, our, transition to new life, and any transition. That's, we all are benefiting of doing, yoga, it's a yoga therapy and meditation. And I'm also suggesting guided meditation and mindfulness meditation for grief, because it's kind of like we are sitting and drawing our attention inward and finding our peace, and and trying to help ourselves with just responding to our emotion and feelings, and just in the good way of noticing them and seeing them without judgment and moving forward. So this is kind of also therapy for ourselves to to pause and self-reflection, what happened to us and how we can move forward. And also the philosophy of yoga and meditation is acceptance. So it's a kind of like, we are helping ourselves with accepting what is happening to us and move forward. And I'd just say everyone can benefit, is beneficial for anyone.
Where's the best place to kind of find out more information about this topic besides directly to you?
First, I think it's just there are many studies, about the yoga therapy, yoga, and kind of grief, and the studies show that help, because of all the effect, those yoga poses indirect affect our somatic and nervous system, and also indirect, and all of the benefits of that just have been studied. And just if you search in the Google Scholar to find studies related to yoga therapy and grief, you can find many studies. And online, you can check some website and just showing people, you can go to to yoga studio, do yoga for beginners or gentle yoga, and or online Calm app, some app there, we can use for helping us with grief and our anxiety.
Well, I know that it was you've shared before how it was because the grief you went to, that you got through this with yoga and meditation, and how you realized that this is how you can help others with. So if I'm not mistaken, it's really grief yoga and meditation that had you fall in love and making this one of
Exactly.
your life.
Yeah, because that's what my journey started with my loss, and that's what I started to find out how powerful, yoga and meditation are, and how we can see, hope and light in our life, because those experiences of the loss is kind of like a darkest place and time for us. But with this practice, we are helping ourselves to and also healing is those powerful for healing. It kind of we are healing ourselves because we are giving permission to ourselves to sit in stillness, and also opening and expanding, contracting. So this is all like again, everything in this world is just expanding. Sometimes we are open to it, sometimes we need to hug ourselves and just comforting ourselves, let body heal. So it's the same way the yoga and meditation do to us. So yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for more information about the grief yoga. If anyone wants to ask more questions, feel free to reach out to Shiva Jahani. She's always accessible and willing to lend her experience in this field to all of you. Shiva Jahani, thank you so much
for having me.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care.
Appreciate you. All right. And up next, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have Sareh Kazemi going to give us a Uniters update. We're doing a lot of things. In just 10 minutes, our special guest will be Atiyeh Navaz. Cannot wait to have her on to share her journey in the last 11 months of this revolution. But before that, Sareh Kazemi, Uniter and co-producer of Countdown to Freedom in Iran.
Hi, Manju.
Hey, Sarah, how are you? Long time.
Long time no see.
Yeah.
It's been about 20 minutes.
Great to see you. I know. Hopefully you're doing wonderful today. I know that we've been super busy with a lot of different things at Unite and Conquer. What would you like to talk about first?
Yeah, well, I wanted to make sure our audience has been seeing all of the amazing posts from Azadi Festival that we've been having on the Unite and Conquer page, collaborations with the performers, those who gave speeches at the event. And I wanted to make sure that everyone listening had an understanding of why we're doing this exactly. We've been posting on multiple platforms, and I'll list those out for you soon. But the reason we're doing it is because the gift of what we got from Azadi Festival is a beautiful community, a beautiful camaraderie that we've developed amongst a group of people that were truly committed to making it the amazing event that it was. And our goal at Unite and Conquer is to continue to highlight them, to continue to elevate them, and to show the world what is possible when you are committed on one, unified mission of unity here. And that's exactly what this is. So our goal is to continue to show and elevate the energy that we all got from Azadi Festival. And so in doing so, we've split up the live stream and we've made special cuts of all of our performers, those that gave speeches, and they're being posted on Instagram, which we're on now, but not just Instagram, but also on our TikTok account, on our Facebook account, and also the full YouTube video of the full live stream video of, not live stream, the full video of their performances are being posted on YouTube as well. And I want to remind anyone that was not able to see the full event, it's still available on www.azadi-festival.com. It'll take you to see our beautiful highlight video, which does such a nice job of capturing the spirit of our event and showing you snapshots of everything that went down. But if you're really interested and have time, you'll be able to also on that site access the full 12 hours of programming just below it. So I highly encourage everyone that hasn't done so to go in and see it. And at a minimum, engage with us on these posts, show the speakers, show the performers a lot of love. So much time has gone into making all of that possible. And I want to give a very, very, very special shout out to the entire social media group that's working on this. And I just said entire as if it's massive, but the reality is there's a handful of people in the background that are up literally through hours of the night to make these posts possible. So major shout out to Orchid, major shout out to Anna, major shout out to Pej, Ravi, Namona, I know I'm forgetting, Anaita, myself, Iman, yourself. There have been others that just this group, small group, a handful of people making all of this possible. All the captions, all of the hashtags, the posts across 4 platforms, multiple times a day. It's no easy task. And I just have so much respect for the people involved in putting their personal times towards making this possible.
It's true. It's true teamwork. There's no doubt about that. It's amazing. You don't realize just how much work goes into putting up a few posts in a week, but it's a lot. On YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, on MySpace. We're on MySpace now. Did you know that?
No, I didn't even know MySpace existed anymore. Can I pick the music for Unite and Conquer? That's all I care.
No, but you would definitely be on my top 8 friends, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't want to
yes.
lose the opportunity to say we're going to continue to leverage this global community that we've developed, and we're going to grow this global community. And what we're aiming to make as our next successful event is obviously a day of online virtual programming on September 16th, honoring Zhina Mahsa Amini, celebrating her life, bringing awareness to her story, and continuing her fight on that day. So we're going to have blocks of programming that will essentially follow the sun, because we now have people in multiple time zones internationally. And we're going to leverage the power of each and every one of us to make sure that we bring awareness online to all of the local programming happening to bring awareness to this sad but momentous anniversary of Zhina Mahsa Amini's death. And so any local protests that anyone is aware of, please send them to me, no matter where you are. If you could DM me at For Women Life Freedom and let me know, I'll make sure our respective teams know, so we can have presence there, ideally, and capture it as part of our live stream.
Yeah. Can you give people a better idea of like what to expect in that live stream? How long is it going to be, or how much detail can you give us?
Yeah, so we're working on making the actual organization plan right now. It'll depend on how many people we can have engaged as part of our planning. But ideally what we'd like to have is starting from, the earliest time zone that'll have that day start. So in Australia, for example, we'll ideally have 1 or 2 people be able to commit to going to 1 or 2 events, and they'll be able to own their specific segment's production. And they're going to be able to say, okay, in our segment, we're going to go to a local protest followed by a vigil. And then in the second hour, I'm going to have a conversation with my non-Iranian friends to assess what their knowledge around Zhina Mahsa Amini is now 1 year after the fact. And then we're going to give you another time block. Okay, now in Holland, we're going to have Ravin coming in and taking you to the events happening in his area. And then several hours later in, let's say, Eastern time, where I am at and Mona is at, we're going to take you to everything that we're going to. And I want to do a kind of man on the street interview where I go on and I ask people and I bring awareness to, why that day is important, and what have my friends or the people around me learned around 1 year's worth of protesting and posting from me specifically. And we'll continue that all the way through to the West Coast and around the globe, essentially anywhere where we can have presence, now that Unite and Conquer is not just limited to South Florida, but rather globally. And so our goal is to leverage that and show people exactly what's going on, motivate the diaspora to say 1 year later, it may look different, but it's certainly not over.
Yeah, and actually we're going to be starting off with Anna Ware from Australia, and she's invited me to be a part of her segment, so I get to start off the program being her guest.
Oh, I didn't know
can't
that.
wait.
You guys are secretly planning already. I can't wait to hear all of that.
She has her segment under control, and I'm happy to be a guest. I appreciate the invite.
That's awesome.
All right,
awesome.
and we got somebody representing from Helsinki, Finland. Which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, that you're watching, or if you're watching on YouTube later, in the next couple of days, we're going to be rolling out a new database for Unite and Conquer, and we're going to be welcoming more individuals that would like to become part of what we're doing at Unite and Conquer. We're looking for people left and right, and especially now that we're really officially global, having presence in Australia, in Europe, and of course, Canada. It's great to be uniting all these Iranians from around the world. It's been pretty epic.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, Von Bad Seed is Rhoda June, who was an ally for us at the
She was an
Azadi
ally.
Festival. So yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Let's get in touch and see, and we'd love to, bring awareness to as many areas in the geography as we can.
Yeah.
That's the whole
And
goal.
we have Farhad from like Gorvi's photography. It's Farhad, right? Is it Farhad or
Yeah,
Farshid?
Farhad. Yep, he
Farhad,
was
yeah.
also an ally. He's
Yeah,
like
he was
a
an ally.
super ally. He's
He's super ally. We have Leave It to Lister from Italia. Very good. You got it. Italia has
awesome.
to meet Daria. Daria is Italian. She was one of our ambassadors. Yeah, I mean,
That's
listen.
right.
Obviously, we're all scattered around the world, and with the benefit of this beautiful technology, the internet, we're able to now unite. And this is what's going to take. It's going to take all of us to unite to dethrone this regime, and we'll do it. We'll continue doing it. We're going to come up with more events that gets more people involved. But everybody watching, if you want to be part of us, please know that the red carpet is open for you as long as you are fighting for a free and secular Iran. Those are the main criteria.
That's right. And I just want to give a shout out to Mo Namazi, who's also on, if I'm not mistaken, I saw his name come up, Retail Therapy Clinic. He's the mastermind behind envisioning this kind of programming. I can't take any credit. I don't think I would have been, my mind is possible of coming up with such thing. But he is like a logistics king in the background, kind of with creating this master plan. So I just want to give him a shout out for his leadership on this project. I have no doubt with him involved that it's going to be a brilliant day.
Mo is the man. Yeah. Very cool. Well, Sergeant, is there anything else you'd like to share from Uniters Front?
No, just stay tuned and contact us. Contact Iman, contact me. And please, if you'd like to help support the September 16th programming, again, assuming you're meeting these criteria that we take very seriously, please do reach out and see how we can collaborate to have you incorporated as part of the event for your region.
Yeah. And since Mo is watching right now, Mo, please ping your friend. Oh, there we go. There she is. Okay. We need Atiyeh to request to join. We were just waiting for her to pop up. Sergeant, it's time to get out of here, girl. Appreciate you very much. Always being helpful and being an integral part of our United Conquer family. Ba'omida Azadi.
Bye, guys.
Much love. Much love. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, as our special guest, Atiyeh Navaz requests to join, and she comes on in a few seconds. I'll give a little background about her in case you don't know her. But if you're a TikToker, you have probably come across her many viral contents. Again, her name is Atiyeh Navaz, and she creates thoughtful and informative content, which I'll also add quite emotional. You can tell how vulnerable and how sincere she is in her content about the Iran Revolution on her TikTok account at Atiyeh_D, ATIYEH. She says her children are her driving force, and she owes them leaving this world a little better than she found it. She's a mother of two, if I didn't already say that. She was born in Iran, the youngest of four, fled to Turkey at the age of 2, and arrived in the Netherlands at the age of 4, where she's been living since. Today, she's a dancer and a small business owner, where she teaches and choreographs wedding dances. Welcome to the show, the lovely, the fabulous, the freedom fighter, Atiyeh Navaz from Netherlands. Hi, Atiyeh. How are you?
The sound is really bad. Can you hear me?
No problem. Durud, how are you?
Durud, I'm good. Thank you for having me on. I'm extremely nervous. I have to start with
There's
that.
nothing that a shot of tequila can't help you. So just feel free to reach over and have, or whatever you guys drink in Netherlands,
Why was that not on the pre questions and then
I'm gonna tell Paris next time, give nice reminders like this.
Like the lighting and the tequila should be a combination of those two in there.
That's right. And by the way, I know that you're more of a TikToker, so we appreciate coming to the dark side and coming over to Instagram.
I've heard it's better over here. You're allowed to use real human words instead of this entire made-up language of censorship, right?
That is true. That is true.
True.
I'm really glad that you've joined us here tonight. First and foremost, thank you for everything that you've been doing for this entire revolution. But let's start at the beginning. Tell us how you ended up living in the Netherlands.
You have to ask my parents. It was a fight between Canada and the Netherlands, and my father won the fight, and he chose the Netherlands. But yeah, we fled Iran back in 1988. I was the youngest of four kids, and we were in between Turkey and Bulgaria for over a year and a half, going back and forth. And we were part of this really rare project called, what did the UN call it? Invited refugees. So we got a really easy transit from Turkey to the Netherlands. They basically said, choose where you want to go, and that was that. But yeah, the fleet towards Turkey and that part was pretty eventful. But after that, we had.
Do you have memories of that, or you were too young at that point, right? 2 to 4. You do have memories of it?
I can describe streets and events and people to details, but they say that's what trauma does to you, right?
Oh man. Well, I mean,
yeah.
speaking of trauma, and obviously, like, you know, we're just kind of like jumping into this, but you've been so vulnerable in all the content, so I'll let you share however much you feel comfortable in this conversation. But you know, you're very familiar with the horrors of the regime, the realities of life in Iran post the Islamic Revolution, and what it's like to live with social injustice. And one of the horror stories that your father has from Evin prison includes tortures and unimaginable situation for anyone, and never mind a child. And so what can you tell us, or what parts that you feel comfortable sharing about all that I'm sure is rooted into what you're doing every day now to fight for Iran?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think he's quite an exception in that, is he? I think we all have an uncle or a father or somewhere that has gone through the same things. It's I'm watching him relive his traumas. Every time these stories of these kids come up, he goes back to being that young freedom fighter in jail. And when I'm hearing the stories, I feel like I know them. The scenes that are described of the torture, I've heard them from my father. And I think maybe that's why, well, for all of us, it hits a sore spot, but sorry.
I understand. I can only imagine.
Yeah. Not all of them were as lucky, right? My Baba got out. And I think that's even more reason for us not to look away. They're us, and we are them. The only difference is by some random act of fate, we got out, and they didn't. I feel
sorry to cut you off. Do you have conversations with your father about this, or you do?
I do.
That's pretty rare too. You know, the fact that he's actually, because I know a lot of individuals that they don't want to talk about it. They kind of just shut down. Tell us about how it is to actually be able to speak to a father about such atrocities, and for them to be in some degree open about it.
I think in some degrees we've never been this close than we have been in the last 10 months. The fact that he's comfortable enough to open up to me means the world to me, because you can tell that time has healed nothing. All they did throughout those years is just shut those memories down and be in survival mode. And for him to open up to his youngest of four is amazing. I'm humbled that he's doing that, and it's made us really close, and we share this joint fight now. And I think of everything, and people tell me, oh, you're doing good, you're doing great. I don't really feel like I'm doing anything special, but hearing it from my Baba, growing up looking up to this man and all the things he's done, that is the biggest compliment out there.
I am glad that for both of you there is this silver lining, you know, which is something to be grateful for. Not to compare it in any capacity, but for example, my mom is like vehemently against everything that I'm doing, and it's so hard to be doing this, and it's because of her own traumas, you know, like the things that she's gone through, she can't revisit it, you know, and seeing me and putting myself in danger and all this stuff, which I understand too. Like I understand both, you know, and but it's such a juxtaposition, you know, like you're able to talk to your dad about it, which has its own trauma, which I wholeheartedly respect and feel bad about, but it's got that bond, at least you're in it together, and not alone, you know. So
I'm so sorry for that. Yeah. If it helps
once.
I have a mama like yours too, if it helps.
Oh, okay. So you have the both sides.
I
Okay.
recognize it. It's just the other parents.
That's funny. Well, my
Yeah.
dad, rest in peace, he did support it too. So I guess I had both too.
Uh-huh.
But anyways, I digress. So, someone once called you an activist, and it caught you off guard because you don't see yourself as that. How would you describe yourself?
A very loud hambatan. That is the only way I see it. I truly don't think I or any of us are this exceptional person or doom. I think what I love most about the diaspora is our communal voices. We're all like these teeny tiny droplets that are creating huge waves together. And I'm just humbled to be a part of it. I'm just humbled to be even a teeny tiny microphone for our beautiful people.
Awesome.
That's all that is.
Well, first of all, it's a big microphone, and we appreciate you using it, because some people have that big microphone, but they're not speaking into it, And so we appreciate what you're doing. And you kind of touched on this next question I'm going to ask, but let's see if you can perhaps go a little deeper. But what inspired you to create the content around the revolution? Is it all your dad? Was it something else that, was a catalyst?
Obviously, it's our Iran, right? I've thought about this because you sent this question. I've been pondering about what that was. And the best way I can describe it is comparing it on like a micro level. We have our families, like our siblings and our parents, and we didn't choose these people, right? We're gifted them. And we fall out when we grow up or we grow apart. But what happens when mama or baba calls and they're sick? What happens? All the siblings run back home, right?
Yeah.
And I think when our Zhina was taken, we were called back to the mothership, right? And that's what we all did.
That's beautiful.
And we were called back. And eventually we fell out again, and our egos came into play. But let's heal home first, right? Let's listen to what she needs to us first.
I love that analogy for sure, and definitely many of us heard that calling, and many of us went towards the motherland as much as we could. What do you say to the people who still hesitate to post content about the revolution, to be involved? What are your thoughts about those?
I think that's a twofold answer. Number one, you know how we look back at historical events, horrendous things, social injustices? Everyone has an opinion, pretty sure, like, I would have done this, I would have done that. Well, let's take it to the here and now. We're making history as we speak. What side of that history do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the side of the oppressor, of the people that look the other way in the face of oppression, or do you want to be on the right side of history? And number two, as long as the people of Iran need us, you answer to them. You don't answer to the people in the diaspora saying, don't do that, this is my culture, don't do it this way. They want us, they need us. You answer to the Mahmunirs and the mothers of Nika. They are the ones that have said, please be our voices. And because we've seen this happen a lot within the Iranian community, there's a lot of critique back and forth of how you should say stuff and how you shouldn't advocate for people. I answer to the Iranian people. And if you're thinking about making content or just sharing or resharing, do it for them. They're your leaders, right?
Love that. Absolutely. Amplifying their voices. How do you handle fear or worry about safety?
I have to say I underestimate it a lot. My Baba's the one who's always like, be careful, they're very sneaky. I'm like, I know. Yeah, the last name, maybe not put that up completely, or like protect the kids, put that on friends only. But if the kids can go out in the street and risk their lives for just a shred of the freedom that we have, then I'm not worried about putting myself in danger. I'm learning from them what bravery is every single day, on a personal level, on all levels. They're teaching me how to be brave.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you've grown quite an audience on TikTok. Do you have any advice for anyone starting out on the platform?
I think just don't try, because I've I've tried to put in a lot of thought and effort into the videos, and those are the ones that flunk completely. But the ones that I feel from a pure sense of sadness or panic or stress, those are the ones that actually explode. So don't put too much thought into how it should look and speak from the heart. That's what's been working for me, I think. And it's beautiful that it's been resonating with so many people, because that platform is for Iran. All those 22,000 people, they're there for Iran. I had no followers. I did nothing on social media before that, and I don't know if I'll ever do it after this. But it's beautiful to
so you started from scratch. Like you literally said, like you decided to go on one platform to create content about Iran. Well, why TikTok and why not YouTube? Why not Instagram?
I was on Instagram from the moment that they took Zhina till I think it was the second week of November. I was posting like a crazy person on my stories, and I was getting discouraged because you can see how many people like watch your stories, and like I get it. These 300 people at one point, they're bored with my story, or I'm preaching to the choir. It's either fellow Iranians or non-Iranians who don't care at this point. And you get to this point of why is no one listening? Why doesn't anyone care? And I put my profile on public for one day, and I woke up to 800 new people, and freaked me out because I have my kids on there. So I immediately closed it up. I'm like, okay, I have to start fresh. And I made one video on TikTok, and if I look back at her, she's very timid and very scared. She's like just carefully asking people, could you please continue paying attention to Iran? Yeah. So there's a lot of personal growth that I'm seeing back too, and it resonated. For some strange reason, I woke up and there was 1,000 new followers, and it does something. It motivates you seeing it kind of balanced out the scales for me, seeing all the horrendous things happening to Iran, and then seeing all these wonderful, beautiful people, Iranians and non-Iranians, actually caring. And that was beautiful to see.
Absolutely. So speaking of non-Iranians, what is the most important message that you believe is important to get across to non-Iranian audience?
Oh my God, thank you. Thank you for being there. Thank you for listening. Thank you for holding our hands, being next to us, besides us. We need all of you. We get the story. We know the story. We need everyone involved. And I think this fight for Zindagi Azadi, the reason why it's resonating with so many non-Iranians, because it's a universal story, right? The oppression of women. And please do not let any Iranian outside of Iran ever tell you to shut up and stop it. Please, I beg of you. You're doing amazing. You're a wonderful person. You're on the right side of history. You're much needed and much appreciated. Absolutely. I'm seeing non-Iranians put in so much more work than the average Iranian here and there. Like, I don't think it's a matter of nationality or anything at this point. It's a matter of humanity, right?
Yeah, it's really like, whenever I see a non-Iranian, and we have a couple of them at Unite and Conquer, you know, and like, I want to kiss their hands and feet because, you know, for the first few months, we're over here ripping our shirts, trying to get Iranians to like get involved. And then when I see non-Iranians are so involved, I'm like, I would love to, I wouldn't actually love to be, but how can an Iranian see a non-Iranian fight for our people and still sitting and doing absolutely jack shit? I mean, it's just very disturbing to me.
I know.
But they're the ones that have to put their head to sleep at night, you know, with their inaction.
Exactly. No, I'm extremely grateful for all of them, for everyone helping and putting in their time.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Sure. So, you know, this program is obviously called Countdown to Freedom in Iran, and we know that a free Iran is in our near future. Where will you be once Iran is free?
Where I will be? Oh, wow. I will run to my Baba. I want to see his face. I want to hold him. I want to book that ticket with him and for him.
So he's in Iran or he's outside of Iran?
He's here. He's with me.
All right. So you want to book that flight together? That's beautiful.
I want to book that flight for him. I want to be there with him. I want to see the moment where he lands and he can smell home again.
Well, when Iran becomes free, you are one of the people that were integral in making that happen. So on behalf of millions of Iranians, Atiyeh Jun, thank you so much for being you and all the time that you spent to put your emotions out, wear your heart on your sleeve. I hope that you and your family continue to be given all the strength that you need to stay positive, to be encouraged, and staying safe and healthy, so that we can be there when you and your father land in Iran and get to enjoy a beautiful father-daughter time together. Thank you so much for staying up so late in the beautiful country of Netherlands. شب بخیر با امید آزادی قربونت. Bye-bye. Go have that tequila shot now and kiss
I
your kids.
will.
Bye.
Immediately.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you enjoyed getting to know Atiyeh Navaz a little bit better. It was certainly a pleasure for me to get to know her better. I'm now even a bigger fan of hers. She's going to make me spend more time on TikTok now, unless she comes back on Instagram, because I certainly want to get to see all of her content. If you enjoyed having Atiyeh part of the program, go ahead and show her some love in the comments. If you enjoyed the new segment by Paris, show Paris some love. If you enjoyed Shiva Jahani's Mindful Moment, show her some love. And also, of course, if you enjoyed the Uniters update, courtesy of Sareh Kazemi, show her some love as well. I want to thank all of you for joining and watching and supporting. I encourage you to please, please, please help us like, comment, and share anything we're doing with regards to Countdown. We need to go ahead and beat this algorithm and be able to get the word out even more. And maybe we need to be even more active on TikTok. You know, thanks to the help of our Uniters that are helping with our social media, we're trying to put more content out on TikTok. But as anybody who does this, you know how time consuming it is, which is why we need more help. So please, if you're watching this live now, or if you're watching it later on YouTube, I implore you to message us and say, hey, you know what? I have a few hours a week that I'd love to be involved with and help out as much as I can, especially social media. Ladies and gentlemen, in this revolution, as Iranians fighting for a free Iran, we have one major problem, and that is a marketing problem. We need to be louder than the news, louder than the Islamic regime. We need to make this narrative louder and wider so that we're blanketing the entire world. We need to constantly create viral content. We need to constantly uplift people like Atiyeh. We need to constantly make sure that all these other freedom fighters around the world, their voices are being amplified. And how do you do that? You lift them up on social media, especially now that we're going against so many algorithms. Unfortunately, none of these social media platforms want a free Iran. No government wants a free Iran. This is the harsh reality and the truth of what we're dealing with, which is why it's become so hard to get our country back after 45 years. So the best that we can do is be the loudest that we can be. The loudest we can be can only happen through social media. So please help us. And if you know other social media experts, reach out to me, connect us. That's the only way we can go ahead and break through the ceiling and get to the free Iran that we're all yearning for. Having said that, it's the end of Countdown episode number 30. Join us again next week. If you have any recommendations on who should be our special guest, feel free to message me that as well. We're always looking for more recommendations. Perhaps there's people out there that are doing great things that they need to be spotlighted, and we're happy to do that. That's the whole point of Countdown. If there's certain topics of conversation, if there's something about health, mindfulness, anything that has to do with the mind, body, and spirit, feel free to make recommendations, and we'll try our best to integrate that in future topics. The whole goal of Countdown is to provide you with news, but also sprinkle in there things that will help with the mind, body, spirit. Thank you so much for joining. Ravin, you joined a little bit too late, brother. We love you very much. We love everything you do, and we're always here next to you. And Shabbatun Becher, Ba'omide Azadi.